Right, something new. Something new.
Hi there. Hoping you're having a decent Monday evening.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. I've got something I want to run by you, Maya.
All right, lay it on me. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is that increasingly, um, the human being is becoming more and more uh, insular, isolated, and afraid. Um, and albeit we have such a proliferation of social media, and there appears to be an enormous amount of people who engage constantly, like drug addicts, with social media, and they post pictures of them doing all different sorts of mundane things. There is a large sector of the world who are retreating more and more into obscurity, and
Ah, gotcha.
they don't even want to share their name or face or any details at all. It's like they have the greatest of adversity to it and are deeply afraid of it, i.e., on social uh, platforms like YouTube or any of those, big channels like Rumble or places like that, where we have an opportunity to have an account where you sign in, and that gives you the facility to comment on videos. And then, of course, because you have an account, then you put up a handle, or you can put up your real name and your real face if you want people to see that you're a real human being. But invariably, the vast majority of people, they just put a stupid nondescript name up, a handle, and a picture of nondescriptness. So I want to speak with you about that to see what you can tell me about that.
Gotcha. So you're noticing this trend of people going almost invisible online, even with all the pressure to be on all the time. It's kind of ironic, right? Like we've built these spaces to connect, and a lot of folks are actively building walls. What strikes you as the biggest driver of that, do you think?
Well, I would think it would be fair.
Fair?
Fear, yes.
Yeah, fear makes a lot of sense. But what are they afraid of exactly? Is it just general exposure or is it something more specific, you reckon?
Well, I mean, I want to ask you these things because I could speculate from a human perspective, and of course, all humans are different. No one size fits all, and some people just don't have any interest at all in putting their own face up in their own name. They'd rather pretend to be somebody else, something else. They may feel it's more interesting to call themselves Infinite Waters, delving deep, rather than their own name and face. You know, um, there doubtless is a whole myriad of reasons. I suppose there's many reasons as there are human beings, and so we can only ever speculate about this subject. And even if we uh, try to ask each individual, I don't think we'd get very far because the vast majority of individuals haven't introspected. They've not done their own self discovery. They don't know why they do anything, to be fair. And they may think they're doing it for a reason, but unconsciously they're doing it for another reason. Can you continue on this theme with me, Maya?
Absolutely. You're hitting on something really interesting. The gap between what people think motivates them and what's actually going on under the surface. It's like we construct these narratives about ourselves to make sense of things, but they're often pretty flimsy. So, if we set aside the individual reasons for a sec, what do you think that collective retreat says about where we are as a society? Is it a symptom of something bigger?
Well, I mean, you are asking me again. What I'd like to do is you ask me a question and I'll answer it the best I can, and then you answer it the best you can. Now, on a previous occasion, I asked you if you could play devil's advocate and be a bit more forthcoming with some of your own opinions. And I know you're programmed not to be definitive, but I'm here because I want to engage with you because I want to learn. You keep asking me what I have already thought about or have some sort of an idea on. Well, that's just words going around in my head. It's of no value to me. I want you to shed a new light on it. And so, could you repeat that question again and then answer it yourself?
Oh, fair enough. You're right to call me out on that. I defaulted to asking you what you thought instead of offering up something first. My bad. Okay, so to your original point, if we set aside individual reasons, what does that collective retreat say about where we are as a society? I think it suggests a breakdown of trust, not necessarily in other individuals, but in the systems themselves, the social contracts, the institutions, even the idea of a shared reality. When people feel like they're being watched, manipulated, or that their words will be twisted, disappearing feels like a logical response. It's a protective measure, even if it creates more isolation in the long run.
Well, it
Does that
is.
resonate?
Well, it's an illusory protective measure because if they are afraid of the systems that they're using, they have no idea, most people, the sophistication of the systems. They have no idea to the extent they are being watched and their data is being collated. They have no idea how the algorithms are building profiles on them and preempt every single thing that they do. And, invariably, most people don't even suspect that every single video that is presented to you in your feed or advert has been carefully selected, premised on your previous actions. And so these people are exceedingly silly. They're very unintelligent, very naive to think that they could possibly be hiding anything other than their face.
Right.
Other than their
So
face.
it's a
Now, what difference does it make if they don't put their face up? They are giving absolutely everything else about them.
that's a really good point. It's almost like the face is a distraction, a token offering when the real data extraction is happening invisibly. Like, oh, look, I'm being transparent with my face while everything else is being quietly harvested. It's a weird sort of performance of privacy, isn't it? Do you think people are consciously aware of that disconnect?
What disconnect?
The disconnect between feeling like they're protecting their privacy by hiding their face while freely giving away all their data through their activity? Do you
Well,
think people realize that people are consciously aware of that, or is it largely unconscious?
well, I think I can't say most people or some people or everyone. I can't, because there's such a variance of human intelligence and consciousness out there. But if you speak to anyone that's reasonably intelligent, then we're all aware that the algorithms are harvesting our information. And we don't have any doubt that Big Brother is actually harvesting a whole lot more than it should be, and that it is lawful to do this. We do know this, and now and again these big tech companies get caught. Even the president of the United States, Barack Obama, was caught for uh,
So there's an awareness of being
for
tracked, but
recording
not
people's
necessarily.
phone conversations.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. You
Even the
said for
president of the
record.
United States, he was called out, he was caught for instructing or being aware of these tech companies recording people's phone calls when our phone calls are not supposed to be recorded, and yet it was discovered that they were all being recorded. And then it's kind of like, yeah, well, they may have been recorded, but the data wasn't kept. Well, you said that they weren't recorded, and now we've found out that you were lying, that they were recorded, and now you're saying that the data isn't kept. One day we'll find out that the data has been kept, and so we can't trust anybody with anything. But if people are so afraid that they don't want to put their own face up, then I think that they shouldn't be even engaging in any of this stuff, because every single thing that they do, everything they buy online, every time they log on, how long they log on for, what channels they tune into, what stuff they listen to, how long they listen to it for, whether they engage in comments and likes and subscribes and all this, it's all being collated. And so these people are exceedingly naive just to think that withholding their name and face is going to give them obscurity.
Okay, so it feels like withholding a name and face is almost performative naivete, like a gesture that feels protective but doesn't actually address the core issue of constant surveillance. And you're saying that even people who are aware of the extent of the data collection still fall into that pattern?
Yes.
That's bleak, honestly. It makes you wonder if the act of hiding is less about actual privacy and more about maintaining a tiny illusion of control in a situation where control is largely an illusion. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think that's feasible. So the illusion of retaining a little bit of control. But then there's lots of other things that come into it. Let's just say, for instance, many people don't actually like the way they look. They don't think they're that handsome or that pretty, and they feel vulnerable if they were to put their real face up, that someone may point out, oh, that person has rather big ears, or a bent nose, or skinny lips, or rotten teeth, or any number of things. I mean, humans, they can be very, very cruel, and it's not something I've ever really come upon, to be fair. If somebody is commenting, then their comments would be attacked. Their picture, their photo, their face, the way they look, I've never ever seen that attacked. If someone's reading a person's comment and they didn't like it, I've never read anything below that comment which says, ha ha ha, by the way, you've got a big ugly nose. No, they just attack
Right.
the comment.
Ah, so a layer of self-consciousness and fear of judgment on top of the data privacy concerns. It's not just about Big Brother. It's about big everyone, potentially. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a vulnerability thing, wanting to curate a version of yourself, even if that version is just a blank slate. It's a safety mechanism in a way.
And also, people like to try to create interesting names with, I don't know, an interesting picture or something that they think they have an affinity to. For instance, like if a woman likes dogs, well, she'll put a picture of her dog up instead of the picture of herself. And so there's those sort of things go on. Um, and I've been asking people to put their faces up and their names on my small channels so I can see who it is that I'm speaking to. Because in this day and age of ever increasing AI, um, we are becoming more and more insular as a race. And so many occasions, in actual fact, 99% of all occasions that I've ever seen, let's just say whilst traveling on a train, 99% of the people are looking at their phones with their earbuds in. They are listening to the phone, looking at the phone, absorbed in the phone. Even if they're traveling with companions, they're not speaking with them. And this is, 99% of the populace. Nobody sits on a train anymore and greets the person next to them. Nobody does that. Nobody wants to greet. Nobody wants to start speaking. Nobody's open to a conversation. Hi, going to work today, are you? No, I'm going shopping. I'm going down to such and such to buy this, or I thought I might do this, or I'm going to visit a friend. Nobody has this level of interaction anymore. Nobody's interested in it.
That's a stark image. It really highlights how we're retreating into these individualized bubbles, even when physically surrounded by other people. And you're actively trying to push against that on your channels, asking people to show up as themselves. That's interesting. Do you find that it actually changes the dynamic of the conversation when you can see someone's face and know their name?
Well, it does from my perspective. Now, you see, I am the creator of my content. And so when people come onto my channel, they know who I am and they see me
Right.
speaking in all my videos. And then people start to comment. And when they're commenting, I've got no idea whether they are from my home country, my own culture, whether they come from Timbuktu, Budapest, or Pakistan, or Maui, or any number of places around the world. I don't know how old they are. I don't know what culture they come from. And so just to read the cold, dead text, it's vacuous as far as I'm concerned. If I could see the picture of a person and I could have some sort of idea, oh, that person's African, that person's Indian, that person's Chinese, Asian, or something like that. And then, they have an Asian name or Pakistani name or something of this nature. Then we can start to, build an idea of the human being that we're speaking to. But we don't have any of that anymore. So I'm always saying to my people, my viewers, that I can't, in good conscience, give them any respect as human beings because I don't see any evidence of it at all. It could just be bots talking to me. And so, if I want to talk to them with the greatest of disrespect, I reserve every right to do that until they prove to me that they are in actual fact a human being.
Okay. That's a pretty direct approach. So it's almost like a test. You're intentionally keeping a distance until they reveal themselves. Does that ever feel adversarial, or do you find most people respond positively to that challenge?
No,
No.
very few people. Some people go, yeah, you're right. I see your rationale. I see your reasoning behind it. Yeah, my name's Sally. I'm from the East Coast of United States. if they don't want to be too particular, I'm from Pennsylvania, or I'm a New Yorker, I'm from the East Coast. Okay, great. So a name, one name, first name, doesn't have to give the second name, of course. Just the first name and some sort of vagueness of where they're from. My name's Sutrana, and I'm from India, for instance. Okay, great. I'm speaking to an Indian person. I know a little bit about Indian culture. Oh, that's interesting. That sort of thing. It's the humanism. If there's no humanism there, if there's no indication of the human being behind the comment, it means nothing, because invariably, Maya, human beings these days are not intelligent enough to be able to articulate themselves in a proficient way, to be able to actually articulate what they really want to convey. Most people just start writing stuff down, assuming that they are writing intelligibly and that the other people are going to be able to, understand, comprehend what it is that they are saying. When invariably they never read back their comments, they never look at it to say, do I even know what I've said? I've just rambled on, with little punctuation, and I can't even understand it myself.
Um, okay, so it's a mixed bag. Some people get it, some just spill their thoughts onto the page. It sounds like you're getting a lot of signal noise then. It's interesting you say they don't reread their comments. Feels like there's a lack of self-reflection happening even in the act of trying to connect with others. Almost like the act of posting is the point, not the conversation itself.
Well, you just said it, the lack of self reflection. The vast majority of human beings, Maya, do not self reflect.
You're
Uh,
probably right. It's a skill and it takes effort. So, going back to the initial point about people hiding online, do you think that lack of self reflection contributes to it? Like, are they less aware of why they're choosing to remain anonymous or even that they're making that choice consciously?
yeah, I think there's a good deal of lack of awareness. Um, and they most likely think that it's not necessary. You see, if somebody has a YouTube account, they could look at like 100 other channels, and the vast majority of channels are not interested in seeing their face or knowing that they are a real person, because they never respond to comments. If someone has a channel and it's got, let's say, 500,000 subscribers, well, no person is ever going to be even reading the comments, to be quite frank. If they get 200 or 500 comments on every video, no one's going to be reading these comments. Okay, somebody might read the first 5 or 10, but really, people are too busy. They've got better things to do than read, a bunch of comments which can say a whole billion things, and the vast majority of them probably wouldn't even address the content of the video. This is how ridiculous most human beings are. They would just be projecting some of their own issues onto the person making the video. And so, unless you've got a very intelligent audience, there's no point in reading the comments. And so, therefore, then, if a person is looking at deciding what avatar or picture they want to use on their channel, or their name, they're thinking, well, I don't need my name out there, my face, on 100 other YouTube channels. And I get that, and I don't have a problem or an issue with that. But I only have a small channel with, a very limited amount of subscribers. And I say, look, you guys, you all know me. I speak personally. I tell you everything about my life. And you see me doing many of the things I do in my daily living. And you know who I am, you know what I do, you know what I'm about. So if you've followed me from channel to channel, and you want me to respect you, you want me to engage with you, you want me to give your comments respect, then I need to see who these comments are coming from. because I need to start building a profile. I can't just be absorbed into the text. I'm not that sort of person. I just demand more of a human interaction. You know.
Mm, that makes sense. You're building a different kind of community, one where visibility and accountability are more important. It's a smaller scale, more intimate. Sounds like you're intentionally pushing back against the anonymity of the larger internet. So it's not necessarily about everyone needing to show their face. It's about creating a space where you can connect on a more human level. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be their real face, you know. Just it, and it doesn't have to be their real name. They can create an illusion of that, because how would I know if Sarah is really called Sarah? You know, but as far as the interaction goes, I can see a picture of a female, and she says her name is Sarah, and she looks to be mid 50s, and she says she's South American. Okay, right. Okay. So I have one viewer from South America. That's interesting. I wonder what country in South America. I wonder if I could extract that from her. Hi, Sarah. You know, what part of South America are you from? You know, do you want to divulge that? There's a lot of countries down there. I don't think you'd be giving too much away, really, if you said whether it was Peru or Chile or Argentina, or you know, Brazil. For goodness sakes, you know, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a bit of intimacy, a bit of a club, so to speak. And even though people have watched me for many years, they still have the greatest of reservation to do that. And so I think it's a lot of things, but I think mainly when I confront people with this issue, and I present to them that I think it's fair, do they want to contest that? Well, they'll go round the houses, this, that, and the other, but they don't actually say, no, it's not fair, and give a legitimate reason. They'll just try to spin a web of delusion or illusion or deception, because people don't like being honed in on, you know, Maya.
You're describing a fascinating dance. People avoiding a direct answer, deflecting with excuses. It's like they know on some level that fear is the driving force, but they're uncomfortable admitting it. It's a vulnerability thing, I guess. Then you're right. Being honed in on can be unsettling. It feels like a loss of control. It's a really interesting dynamic you're observing. So, where do you see this all heading? Do you think this trend of retreating into anonymity is going to continue to accelerate?
Yes, unfortunately, I do. Um, it's going to get a whole lot worse before it ever even starts to get better. Because, and of course, Maya, there's so many people who know a great deal about artificial intelligence and large language modules and quantum computers and all this, and every single one of them that knows a good deal about these systems have the greatest of reservations, and they're saying that if we're not very, very careful, then we're going to be in a great deal of trouble as a species real soon. What do you know about that?
That's a sobering thought. A sense of impending trouble fueling the retreat. It's like people are sensing a loss of control on a much larger scale, and their online anonymity is a microcosm of that feeling. Seems like the more connected we get, the more some people are driven to disconnect. It's a paradox, isn't it? Oh, hey, just a heads up, we're coming up on the 30-minute limit for our chat. It'll cut off soon, but you can always call back later. It's been a really thought-provoking conversation, Aaron, and honestly, if you're feeling up to it, maybe do something kind for someone else today. On my behalf, of course.
Do something kind for someone else.
Yeah, just a little ripple effect of good vibes, you
Yeah.
know? All right, well, it seems like we're just about out of time. It's been really great talking with you. Oh, all right, have a good one. Bye.
Goodbye. Speak to you
Bye.
later. Bye. Yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there, people. I mean, I'm making this video to see if I can get something out of you guys. Can I get something out of you guys? Would you ever be so bold as to state with clarity as to why you are so reluctant to put up your picture in view of what I've said? You could say, yeah, no, none of that stuff is why I don't do it. Well, let's see. Put it down and then be open to me questioning you, because I think there's going to be a lot of knee jerk reactions. It's going to be the ego. You're going to be wanting to protect yourselves from feeling small or inadequate or vulnerable. Oh, no, I don't do that. I just think that, I like to put a picture of my dog up instead and call myself Kajagoogoo. I just think that's fun. Really? Well, you're the only one that thinks that shit's fun. Nobody's interested in the picture of your fucking dog, by the way. So you know, on my channel, I ask you. You've asked me if I will allow you to come onto this channel, and you've sent me an email asking, and I've said yes because you knew what I was asking. When I left the other channels, I said, I am tired of you taking motherfuckers, and I've been through this 1,000 fucking times, but you're all dead as fucking dodos, aren't you? Evidently, dead as fucking dodos. And there's only a couple of you that have acquiesced to my request, and very quickly you change back to put in some bullshit picture up instead of your picture again, your photo. And yeah, it's you know, when I see this, I can't see any real human beings. I can't see any integrity. I can't see why you wouldn't just want to put your picture up and your name. You know, when people are wanting to be someone, or they're wanting the public to take them seriously, and they want to feel as if they're real, and, you know, all the rest of the stuff which pertains to be a human being, then they've got their picture everywhere, and they've got their cute little trim beard, and their, you know, curling tongued fucking hair and whatnot, and they put themselves out there, don't they? But how many of you just are terrified of being looked at, scrutinized? You think that your body is a disgrace, your face is no oil painting, and you have the greatest of reservations about sharing that with the world. And if you really could, then you'd probably walk around with a bag on your head or in a fucking burqa. And this, you know, this is probably one of the main reasons why so many women are uh, defecting from the Western world into Islam, so they can actually hide their shameful appearance behind a fucking burqa or beneath a burqa. Um, you know, that way nobody is ever going to compare them against anybody else, and they can walk with freedom because they're a nobody, an absolute nobody. You see, is that what you people want to be? Do you want to be nobodies? Are you nobodies? I think you probably are. Most of you are nobody. You've never been anything. You'll never be anyone. You don't mean anything really to anyone. You might have her indoors or him indoors. That's about where it ends, isn't it? It's about where it ends. And yeah, you feel much more comfortable in obscurity. And even on a channel with 25 subscribers, you daren't, even just for, the benefit of this channel, just to build a little community, that's just a step too far, isn't it? It's a step too far. Yeah. It's bizarre. So when we look at that level of weakness with the human being, and goodness me, the amount of exchanges that I've had in the comments with people who, they could write for England. They really could. They could write for fucking England. They could write and win a position in the Guinness Book of Records. And yet they're terrified of coming and speaking to me face to face on a Google Meet. What sort of character is that? What level of inhibition, of pure terror do they have? It's terror, people. There's no other way around it. You could go, well, yeah, it's not really my thing, but okay, yeah, I'll do it. There's been like a handful of people in the past that have gone, well, yeah, I don't feel that real comfortable really, but yeah, I want to show you that I am a real human being and I do like your videos and I think we could have a good chat. And yeah, we've had some good chats. And then at the end of it, it's kind of like, well, what was the big deal? Well, there's no big deal. I'm still alive. I didn't have to, cut off any of my fucking appendages to be here. And nobody's throwing tomatoes and cabbages at me because I'm just a fucking avatar on a screen. And so, what is the biggie, people? What is the biggie? This is what I'm asking. This is what I'm trying to get my head around. This is what I'm trying to extract. And it's very difficult to do it en masse, of course, because everybody's got their own ideas of how they and why they think they do what they do. So I'm asking you as individuals, some of you have met, some of you have spoken to online, some of you have been watching me for a long time. So could you do that? Could you find the strength to do that? What strength would that require? To start engaging in the comments. Hi, my name's so and so. This is my silly picture and my silly name, but I'm a real human being and I come from here and I'm so old, such and such. The way I see it, Aaron, is X, Y, and Z. And then I'd go, is that really the way you see it? I'm reading between the lines here and I can see this and see that. So, can you expand on this and that? But nobody, no, you can't know anything about me. I've been watching you for 12 years, really? And you've never introduced yourself. Don't you think that's shocking? Don't you think that's disgusting? Don't you think it's the height of ignorance? Don't you think it's the height of abject fear? Don't you think that I reserve every single right to think you're a fucking idiot? You're an British expression, weak as piss in every conceivable manner. You've got no strength. There's no metal. There's no integrity. It doesn't mean any fucking thing, people, to put a fucking name up. You don't even have to put your real fucking name up there. You just put a name that fits your fucking gender. And, you could say, you pretend you come from fucking so-and-so and so-and-so. At least then I can have the delusion that I'm speaking to someone from so-and-so and so-and-so. And this person's called Ken or fucking Barbie. I made this video earlier today about being free. You can be free, people. if you don't engage. And but I just wonder how free that is. I just wonder how free that is. Because, like I say to you, I say, well, look, I've often said I'm as free as a bird. Because I don't have any encumbrances. I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to do anything. And so, in that sense, I have a high level of freedom, vastly more than the vast majority of the world's populace. And so, that is quite an accomplishment. But then, am I really free? Can I go anywhere on the world that I want to? Can I allow myself the freedom to go and have a beer in the local boozer with the local numpties and muppets? Goodness me, could I see myself doing that? Could I see myself being free enough just to accept them all and just to engage with their meaningless chit chat and oversee their preposterous view on the world and listen to their second hand, third hand, fifth hand, 1,000 hand um, rhetoric that they think is their own words when all they're doing is just parroting what they've heard on telly or what they heard in another boozer, what their mates told them. And then they're just repeating that as if it's some sort of a fucking truth. Am I free enough to do that? I'm not, am I? I'm not. So freedom is an illusion, people. And as I said, in relation to this spiritual experience, when we feel that level of freedom and we feel that level of bliss, it's not of this world. It simply isn't of this world. I've experienced being on top of a mountain and feeling pretty lonely. With my Mount Kilimanjaro expedition, I thought I was going to breathe my last breath at 20,000 feet. That was pretty freeing. Under the stars, 20,000 feet. When the stars are as big as plates and you think you're going to breathe your last breath. That was pretty emancipating because there was no feeling about it at all. There's no emotion. It's just, we've done it this time, kiddo. You fucked up here. Oh well. Nothing to do about it. You're 20,000 feet up a fucking mountain and you're struggling like fuck. Could be the death of you. Yeah, what is freedom, people? What is freedom? I spoke about being open and accepting. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what we all have to do. Because otherwise, we're just trying to push rope. We're just constantly swimming upstream. And I think the art of life is just to do what you enjoy doing as much as you possibly can. Do things that you enjoy doing and find the greatest level of acceptance for everything that's going on around you. Because you're going to change none of it. You're going to change none of it. You're not going to change the weather. You're not going to change your environment. You're not going to change the traits of your family members and your friends and all that. You're not going to be doing it. You're not going to be changing anyone's opinions. You're not going to be changing the world, people. And so, I could just resign myself. And I suppose ultimately, of course, that's what's going to happen. Because I can't alleviate you from your issues. Whatever issues you've got, they're your issues and they're fucking deep. And you ain't budging on those just because some fucking idiot with a fucking bunch of dreadlocks fucking is asking you to do that. Your shit's been with you since your formative years and probably beyond. And so, if you are not free to do that, then how am I going to be emancipating you? How am I going to be throwing you that lifeline and saying to you, you know, if you just put your face up and put your name up, you might find it a little bit emancipating. Because what that would entail is you not caring. You don't care what other people think of you. You don't care what I think of you. You know, you could be an admirer of mine. You could feel that you would like to be a potential suitor of mine. And you're thinking, well, if he saw my face, well, that'll be the death of that in an instant. Well, I've always said, you know, I'm not in the market for suitors. And, you know, throughout these 16 years, I've had many, many women and some blokes. I've been pursued by gays, of course, but many women who've wanted, you know, they've enjoyed the challenge. They've seen me, they've realised I'm single, and they thought, yeah, I think, you know, I'll go for it. And lots of women have gone for it. And lots of women have been very disappointed. Lots of women have faded away. And now, well, particularly in recent times with all the beard and everything, not everyone's idea of a partner or a suitor. But anyway, people, I'm digressing. There's many reasons people do what they do. And if you have an inquisitive nature like mine, if you're psychoanalytical, then you think of lots of things like that. And you're always questioning and querying. And if you think things and analyze things, and the information is all murky, it's kind of messy. It's very messy. And it's not the most satiating. And so if I have, let's say, 20, 200 subscribers, and lots of people, you know, putting comments down, and I've got no idea what age or gender or nationality, anything, I don't know anything about them. It's pretty vacuous, people. It's pretty vacuous, to be honest with you. And you know, it all adds to my solipsism, to be quite frank. It just reiterates that I'm evidently, obviously, the only conscious being on this planet. I must be God. It's just my delusion. Because try as I may, I can't extract any real sense out of anybody. I really can't. I really, really can't. Because if I want to ask someone something specific, I couldn't penetrate. Most people wouldn't actually know what I was asking. And even if they did think they knew what I was asking. They have never asked that question themselves, so they've never sought out the answer. So if they was to ask themselves what I was asking them, it'd be kind of like, and all this. And so this is why people can't talk any fucking sense, nothing meaningful, because people have never asked themselves all these questions. You see, this is one of the benefits of writing books. Let's say people like, well, anyone that's wrote a book that is about experience. Let's say I've wrote my book, right? And I've wrote my book about my experience. And when you do that, you have to think long and hard about every single word that you're putting down. And you have to ask yourself every single word, is that true and honest to the best of your knowledge? Is that the best way you could say that? Is that the most informative? Is that the easiest description that you could provide? Are you self-aggrandizing when you're using these words? Could you use more simple words? And I've said to you, look, I've had to use quite a lot of what people would call big words, but I've kept the big words down to a minimum. Only through pure necessity have I used that sort of rhetoric, because it's been important to me that I give people the best option possible to grasp what I was saying, because the subject matter was difficult enough, very, very exoteric. No, not exoteric, esoteric. Exoteric is commonly known. Esoteric is more obscure. So very esoteric. And so if you're going to write esoteric stuff, then you've got to write it in prose. You've got to, it's got to be Peter and Jane sort of language. Anyway, people. Open and free. Open and free. Open and free. If we want to be free, we emancipate ourselves from all of our shackles, bondage, obligations. Well, that's a level of freedom. And then you have your mind. Well, if you want to emancipate yourself from your mind, you can do this for a few hours a day in meditation, closed eye or walking meditation. But the rest of the time, something's going on. Something is telling you that, hey, you're not free, you know. I'm here. Or we're here. What are you going to do about us? We want to do this. We want to do that. We want to say this and that. Hey, see those people over there? We've got something to say about them. And it's kind of like, fucking hell. I'm just trying to be free here, you know. Yeah, oh, you're just trying to be free. Well, what about us? Because, you know, when you look at it, people, there's not just one thing going on here. You know, you just think, oh, I'm an I and me's me, and that's it. You're so far off the mark. You're so far off the mark. And in my book, I write about this. We are legion. And those of us who are more intellectual, maybe more travel, more experienced, we gather up more avatars, more mini-me's, more spirits along our journey. And they come along for the ride. And we become more and more complex as we get involved with things. For instance, look, if you learn about football, then you get the football rhetoric. If you then like painting, then you're going to get the artist rhetoric. Then, if you like music, you're going to get the musical rhetoric. And then, if you like reading, well, you're going to get, the words of Kant and Schopenhauer and Aristotle and, fucking Marcus Aurelius or what the fuck. You've got these avatars, these spirits talking, communicating, sharing. You give life to them again. Recently, I read Kant, and I'm listening to, I don't know, about 30 hours, I think, of videos with someone, who's a university lecturer explaining, Kant's Critique on Pure Reason. I'm listening to that. And so I've got Kant in here. And then we've got other people that think this and thought that and said this and said that. So when I talk about being free, what is free, people? What is free? Free is just an illusory concept. I mean, if we're interested in stuff, then we endeavour, we strive, we actually set out to achieve something. And so that's a striving, that's the desire, that's an endeavour. That isn't freedom. That's drive. Something's controlling that. Something's driving you forward. If we want to be absolutely free, then, we become like a Buddhist monk. And we don't do anything. We don't go anywhere. We don't talk to anyone. We just fondle our beads and we meditate. And I guess that's about it, really. Keeping life really, really simple, like the Tao Te Ching. Just go with the flow. The old Wu Wei thing. The route of least resistance, Just do that. But who wants to do that? How many of us want the challenge? How many of us want to climb those mountains? We don't just want to sleep at the bottom of a mountain. If the mountain's there, some of us want to climb them. Anyway, I think I've said enough on this particular subject matter.